Call the roll.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Here.
Mr. Putoff.
Here.
Mr. Sextro.
Here.
Mr. Burke.
Here.
Ms. McDaniel. Here. Mr. Albrink.
Here. Okay, we're going to do first wait a minute, we have a public hearing first. The purpose is to pass the preliminary tax budget for for 2023. This has to be done now so that it can go to the county as quick as we can get it there. Is there anyone who wants to testify about the budget? Hearing none, this will constitute the public hearing on the budget. We're now going to go to the ordinances, and the first ordinance is 22-56, and I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel. Yes. Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Peyton Ogle to attend the paramedic program at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College and to be offered a position on the Village of Evendale Fire Department and declaring it as an emergency. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Now can I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading?
So moved.
Second.
I'm sorry, may I have a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink. Ms.
Yes.
Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
second,
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
And now declare ordinance 22-56 passed as an emergency. Next, we have ordinance 22-57. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
An ordinance appropriating funds and appointing Peyton H. Ogle as firefighter/EMT for the Village of Evendale and declaring it as an emergency. I'd like a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance.
So moved.
second,
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Now I'd like a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Albrink.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 22-57 adopted as an emergency, and we will proceed to swear in Mr. Ogle.
I'll take both of them.
The other church tradition we have is presenting him with his first helmet. Congratulations, appreciate it.
Awesome. I also just want to say, thank you to the mayor and city council for giving me an opportunity to come and serve the village of Evendale as occupants, for giving me a reason to come to work with them. Just love what I do, so thank you very much, all of you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As I always say, you can stay, but you can go.
They always seem to choose to go.
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Heaton, you want to address council?
Thank you.
Wait till it quiets down a little bit.
Yes.
We'll get you on first before all the others, the rest of it goes. Okay, I think we're good.
Thank you to Village Council for having us here. Mainly, I just wanted to come here and just tell a little bit about our frustration and about the situation with the water and with the trees. I'm sure you are all aware of it. I'm sure you have all heard about it. My wife and I was here with fellow residents 15 months ago talking about some of these same issues. 15 months have gone by, and they've, for the most part, just started working on the water situation. I understand some of the things with Duke Energy coming through, removing the old poles, putting in new poles. It's just been a frustrating time. 15 months of not seeing anything happen, then 9 months of not having any trees, not having any privacy, not having any shade, losing thousands of dollars on home value. The trees actually came down on October the 19th of last year. I remember that date because I'm not in love with my trees. I'm not holding on to that date. I was on an honor flight with our veterans going to Washington, D.C. on that day. That's the day that I got a call from my wife saying, Duke is here. Duke is taking down our trees. So it was an easy date for me to remember because honestly, sideline, that was an honor. That was an absolute honor to be on that. It's just, we have been looking at the same things for the last 9 months of nothing, of no trees, of anything being there. I appreciate very much Steve Burke coming out today, James Jeffers coming out yesterday and today and talking to us. That's all that we've been asking for, is just communication. Because I'm getting communication from several different people, residents and employees alike. The person that actually is doing a lot of work, he's the only one that I see on a basis. Not a regular basis, just on a basis of coming down to do the work. He's the one that I'm getting some of the information from. Not holding him accountable for anything because he's getting it secondhand. But he tells me one thing, we don't get answers on anything else. I don't hear from the village. We just want to know what's going on. My wife and I are hopefully leaving on vacation August 1st. Last week, we were going to cancel all of our vacation because of this, because we wanted to find out, what is the plan? What is going on here? There's 2 areas in our yard that have to be addressed. The guy that runs the backhoe, I asked him, because I don't have anybody else to talk to, how are you planning on doing all of this? So he's given us information, maybe very bad information, I don't know. In talking with Mr. Jeffers and Mr. Burke today, they've enlightened us on some things, which is good. And again, that's all we've been asking for. I know I've left messages for people. We don't get responses from people. And I just wanted to come here today to just kind of be on record of the frustration that we're having. There's other neighbors around us that have a little bit of a stake in it, not as much as we do, because of the length of our yard and how everything comes together in the cul-de-sac, in the neighborhood. We're the one that sees everything. I mean, we're the ones that have the longest. We've got like 450 feet of length there that we're wanting something done. And it's just a matter of finding out, where are we with all of this? We didn't want to leave and go on vacation, and then all of a sudden, everything gets dug up. Because what we're wanting to do is put trees in, and we've been saying that a year ago. When Duke takes our trees down, we want to put trees in there. We want to put roughly 25 arborvitae trees in. 25 trees going in this space and not knowing when we can do it. We had hoped that it was going to start in March. Nothing in March, nothing in April, and not until mid to late June when they first started digging. That now makes me put trees in October, because I'm not putting trees in August. So everything is being pushed back. We've got an irrigation system that runs right through where the trees used to go. Some of that has been torn up already. Some of that has been broken. When Duke came in, tore the trees down. Had the stump grinders in there, ground out some of that. Some of that was damaged. So we're saying we just need a plan on when I can order trees, because from what the nurseries are saying, order them now for October. If you need 25 trees, you need to order those now. We have to find either the nursery or someone else to install the trees. We then have to get the irrigation company to come in and reroute the irrigation system so that all of this is kind of coordinated. And that's all we're asking. That's why the frustration. That's why I'm here tonight, is just say, help. Help us.
Just to set the record straight.
Sure.
Your wife, we did have a conversation, rather lengthy conversation, before Duke ever came in. And
Correct.
So you did have a little
Last
bit.
year.
You did have a little bit of meeting with us and.
No,
so
you're right.
forth,
That
I
was
think.
last year, but
Yeah,
nothing since the trees have come down.
And as far as the irrigation system, we're going to pay for that. The village is going to take care of that.
Okay.
No expense to you.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I mean, we're trying to correct a problem that's existed there, and it hasn't been easy. Duke is not always easy to work with, and they're part of the problem of why it took so long. And not much we can do about that.
Okay.
Was the letter that James sent to you today?
It looked good.
Confirming everything?
It looked good. We didn't examine it. We didn't have anyone else look at it for us. But just as an overview, it looked
It covers everything we talked about and
Right.
committed to. Okay,
right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate
Okay.
it.
All right, now,
And do go on vacation. Enjoy it. Good.
okay. Next is ordinance 22-55. I'd like permission to read it by title only.
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Burke?
Yes?
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
An ordinance approving 2023 tax budget of the Village of Evendale and declaring it as an emergency. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Burke?
Yes?
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel. Yes. Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel. Yes. Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Mr. Sextro.
yes,
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 22-55 adopted as an emergency. Next, we have ordinance 20.
Mayor, excuse me, do we want to do reports?
I think we should.
Approve the minutes and
Kind
do
of
reports?
got lost on
Before we
this.
proceed too far.
Let's do the Finance Committee report now.
Thank you. I'm sitting there anxiously waiting.
I know. Go ahead.
Finance had another good month. Everything just continues to proceed in a positive manner. Month-to-date revenues exceeded expenditures by almost $200,000. Year-to-date, revenues exceed expenditures by about $2.2 million, all very positive. Tax revenue, which is the bulk of it, year-to-date receipts are about $8.9 million, or $1.3 million over the same time last year. So we are way ahead of at all matters compared to last year. So it's all very positive, and hopefully we're getting back to a new normal. Gorman Farm, just again to reiterate, the Row by Row dinner, August 20th. Tickets are still on sale, so but please contact the farm if you're interested, because they will go fast as we get closer to that date. The Sunflower Festival is October 1st and 2nd, so over the weekend. For the farm, the summer day camps are all going well, and it was mentioned at our meeting that the new partnership with iSpace, many of us were a little skeptical, or just curious, I guess is a better word, of how that was all going to evolve. And the farm reported that the partnership is going extremely well, and that they're enjoying working with iSpace. So that collaboration seems to be all positive down there.
Yeah, they got their sign up on the side of the building, and
Yep.
got a sign on Glendale Milford Road, I believe. And I'm trying to
It's all
get
moving forward.
CET, the educational TV station, to do a little thing about the merger and what went on there. I don't know whether it'll work or not, but we're trying.
That would be good. Rec Department, the big news is next Monday and Tuesday, our swim team championships here on the village grounds over at the pool, obviously. So plan accordingly, because the cars will be in every nook and cranny across the campus for 2 straight days. So work around that.
Except for these two parking lots right
There are going to be, for administration and service.
Yep.
Those lots will be blocked off.
Fire will be in front of fire.
So, but just, if you're coming down here as part of your normal routine, know that there's going to be many visitors to the village. Something new, there is a putt-putt league down at the Acres, which is the old, it's the driving range, and anxious to hear how that is going at some point, because never heard of a putt-putt league. And special thanks, 4th of July. It's always been a big celebration here in the village, and although attendance was down a little bit, everything went very smoothly. We had additional police and fire on hand to have a show of security, and that seemed to all work well. Nice evening, nice fireworks, so hopefully, again, that's getting back to something that we've been off a couple years without that, and it's nice to get back to that celebration.
Just back to the putt-putt league. I understand there's a professional putt-putt league.
There's,
true?
well, there's professional cornhole now, so if there's cornhole.
I think there's a professional putt-putt
They
league.
I believe it.
They actually used to have putt-putt tournaments down there at that course years
Did
ago.
they?
Yeah.
Service, chipping, of course, we had the big storm a few weeks ago. Special thanks to the service department and James and his crew. They ran 2 chippers for a total of 7 days, so many times over the norm. cleaning up for 232 houses and collect 13 and a half dump trucks full of chips. So if anybody needs any chips, probably have them.
I think they're,
At Rumpke now? Couldn't throw them at the farm?
aren't they stored back by the Griffin farm? Griffin, no?
We put loads there in caves and we'll go and dress up the trail. The vast majority of that is already.
So where are they stored?
Too much. Rumpke.
Rumpke. Rumpke? All right.
The road project is starting this week. Has it started yet? As of our meeting, it had not yet started. We were waiting until after the 4th, the road project. So next week, so several of the roads that they've been noticed prior will be, start seeing their streets repaired. And lastly, the Everdeen demolition, we'll have an ordinance tonight on that demolition and regrading. We got all the bids in, and they did, if you haven't seen the report, they have exceeded the estimate, but under the circumstances, we will be proceeding on voting on that matter tonight. That's all I have.
Any questions, comments?
Special thanks to the Safety Committee for 4th of July, working, the police and fire both working together very well in Rec Center to make sure everything was
Yeah.
okay, and our drone system worked really well too.
Drone really worked well. They found it very useful.
Saw some of those pictures.
Yeah, yeah. And we were very safe, but that was the day before the shooting that happened out in Highland Park. I think it made a lot of people maybe nervous about coming to an event like that, and maybe some of them did not come. But we worked very hard on that safety. We worked on that for over a year. Our former Councilman Rands headed it up for a while, and I think it worked out pretty good.
And also special acknowledgement to the fire department for their efforts early morning Saturday, right? And in Chief's absence, I really appreciated their help and support.
Now we got another event coming up with this swim meet, the championships, and we're implementing our safety measures in that too. If you saw, they moved some of the automobile blockage system over behind the swimming pool, and they're going to be used for the event. Those things come from Chicago. Can you imagine that? I can't. Police and fire.
You want me to get police and
Are
fire?
you ready?
Oh, sorry.
I was ready.
Set, go.
I hope I didn't mean
But
to.
Councilman Burke started. I would like the captain to speak a little bit to the fire, a little bit more about the fire that occurred and what we had to do for that. So, thank you.
You mean the most recent one at,
Your most recent one,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that happened Sunday morning. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So I was the officer in charge Sunday morning. When the fire was dispatched, it was over the dead end of Spartan Drive. We had a significant fire. If you're familiar with the building, has multiple units in that. We believe there's 3 businesses affected, 4 significant units are damaged. We had 2 civilian injuries. Real quick, I want to take a minute and thank our police department. We had 2 officers from Evendale Police Department respond with us and simultaneously on scene assist us with the evacuation and the search for the victims that were reported with our response. So your guys did an excellent job early in that fire, and then they did a fantastic job supporting us throughout the rest of the incident with the drone operations. We got some good footage and videos and aerial shots of the incident, which aided us in our operations and the decision-making. So fantastic job to you guys. We had 8 mutual aid departments respond with us and assist us with the operations, and we had estimated 55 firefighters on scene for that incident. It's still under investigation with the Hamilton County Investigation Unit, and we have some state agencies involved with the investigation because of the significance of the fire.
I think you have reason to believe that there were people living,
Yes.
and they're not supposed to be living in there.
Right now, it appears that there are living conditions in some of the units there, and that is still under investigation, and
So we're going to have some further scrutiny on that.
yes, yes. Right now, Duke Energy is working with the property maintenance and the owner to turn on power and electric to the businesses that were unaffected so that they can continue operations in the building. As of this morning, I believe, though, the water and electric and gas are still shut off, though.
Mr. Elmer and I discussed that today, and we have to, this is the second time we've had troubles over there, so maybe more than that I know of, but.
Your Honor, I know, we talked to several police officers while we were down there. It's very difficult because you can see them outside sitting in chairs, but they know the rules, and they just tell you, you know, we're just hanging out after work, we're going home.
Yeah, yeah.
By the time they go in, close the doors, and go to bed, I mean, you see a closed door, it's a very special challenge for us, but this is at least the second fire that has involved
Yeah.
people inside the building, in the building.
Well, things we have to do something about some of that.
Absolutely.
Good point.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Sticking just with fire, our eligibility list is down to 1 at this point. So in September, we're going to start a new hiring process to address what we expect to be some openings next year. So just wanted to give council a heads up about that. We're down to 0. I started to ask before I said that, but last week it was 1. Okay, all right. Thank you. Sticking with personnel and going to police, we've completed the written component of the sergeants, lieutenants promotions, which are coming up. Hiring committee will be meeting in the latter part of August to come up with who the candidates are for police. And the 2 candidates that we had sworn in that were going to the academy have started the academy. So that's where we stand from the police perspective. And I think everything else was covered for the 4th. Building and zoning, if I can, the zoning map amendment for St. Rita's and Landmark is agreed to. We will have an ordinance for it in the August meeting. I think we have to have a public hearing.
correct.
Public hearing, and I assume we'll have the first reading, at least of that ordinance then. Or,
Only going to do a first reading, or are we going to,
well, I said at least the first reading. I
Yeah.
think we're going to go ahead and pass it.
I think we'll do all 3 readings.
You think we're going to go three readings
Well,
for that?
we've been kicking around for a couple of months here.
Right, and that's why I was saying, you know, at least,
Yeah.
we can determine exactly what we have. I just wanted to let
Right.
folks know that was going to be in the August meeting. I may have mentioned that we were also going to have a zoning text amendment for self-storage that has been withdrawn, so we won't be having that one come before us. And the Board of Zoning Appeals is going to hear a case. The First Church of Christ would like to build a new building, and they want to keep the old building operational for a couple of years, so that's going before BZA. This month? Next month, whenever
Okay.
BZA meets next. Okay. And as far as violations, we're going to start kind of trying to keep you more aware of what the numbers are, given that we changed building zoning and planning managers at the beginning of the year. Since about early April, we had 15 violations, 7 have been closed. The other 8 are under various stages of trying to get the homeowners to address and home or business owners to address and get those corrected. Moving on then to cultural arts. Cultural arts is doing really well. All of the camps and class have really effectively been sold out. The big art party is scheduled for August 5th. And look for more news on that. And also, wine tasting as usual, sold out. And there's an upcoming one, Art Ventures is going to Newport Casino on the 29th. Are there still spots available? And there's still spots available for that, okay. And then the other thing I wanted to mention as far as cultural arts is concerned is that the new lighting is here for the Bell Tower Arts Pavilion, and the AC units have been repaired. The lighting it's not installed quite yet, is it? So, but it's here, so we're gonna do that upgrade, but the air conditioning has been fixed. And I think that's it.
Okay, any questions, comments? I just have a couple of things. We are continuing work on the gun range. The governor's person that he appointed to look at the gun range and the new potential of Colerain Township, he is going on temporary duty to the murder trial that's happening for the governor, the murder trial that's happening in eastern Ohio, and he's going to be down there for a couple of months. So there's been a new person appointed as the overseer, and she is coming down, I think it was the 18th, and she is going to meet with us over at the potential new gun range over in Colerain Township. And some of the people that count in that are going to be there, so we'll see what happens.
She's not gonna visit the old one?
I don't know. She didn't say that she was going to visit the old one, did she?
I'd strongly recommend it, but, so she can
That's a
compare
good
the
point.
difference.
That's a good point.
Yeah, sure. Andy, the predecessor to her, was at that range. You can certainly ask her to come to reaffirm what Andy has already shared with her. But nonetheless, this is the real critical meeting to have with the city and the county president at the proposed site, because that's where the funding for the governor's office would go towards.
And the chief of police of the city of Cincinnati is going to attend that meeting also, which is very, very important. We don't know whether the person that came down first, whether this is just a placeholder until he comes back on duty, or whether he's really going to, it's really going to be a changeover. So we haven't figured that out yet. And the only other thing I'd bring up is now we have two of the black buildings painted in the traditional Evendale colors, and the third one is being painted as we sit here, and I think it'll make for a nicer presentation for the village. I think they look pretty good in the combination of colors that are there. And that's it. Oh, I did want to mention we have thank you notes from Steve Newhouser. He appreciated the things that we did, and especially the thoughtful gifts that we provided to him, gift of the plate that we provided to him on his retirement. And we also received a thank you from the Woodrow family for the Recreation Department for what they did for them and for some of us that were able to attend that little service. Woody Woodrow, remember, was 102, almost 103 when he passed away, and it's a great loss to the village. That's all I have, unless anybody has anything else. All right, we will go then to ordinance 22-53, and I need permission to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Sextro.
Yes.
Mr. Putoff.
Yes.
Mr. Burke.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht.
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson.
Yes.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for the Aero Hub Aberdeen demolition and regrading project, and appropriating the funds for the project and declaring it as an emergency. As was indicated, the bids came in $150,000 over what we had anticipated, but we feel that to go back out to bids now are not going to produce any better results. And also, we have to get this done by the end of the year, or we lose the $300,000 grant we have from the county and that would be in jeopardy by going out for the other bid. So may I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes. Now may I have a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes. Now I need a motion to adopt the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
I now declare ordinance 22-53 adopted as an emergency. Next is ordinance 22-54. I'd like a motion to read it by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
An ordinance approving a transfer from the contingency fund to the community environmental department and declaring it as an emergency. May I have a motion to suspend the second and third reading of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Now I need a motion to adopt the emergency clause of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes. Now I need an ordinance adopting the ordinance as an emergency.
So moved.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
The minutes have previously been distributed. Is there any additions, corrections, or changes? May I have a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
I now declare the minutes adopted. Going to other business, we have on the agenda tonight for a discussion on the proposal before us for a sign on I-75. I know you all remember that. And it's now open for discussion, or if any other comments that want to be made on the issue. I suggest we cannot vote on this tonight. It is not up for a vote on the agenda, but it will be for August is when we will do that, but we can certainly discuss it. I see the legal counsel for the requester is here. Do you want to make a comment or add anything to the discussion?
Thank you, Mayor. And I promised I would be brief. My husband thinks I'm incapable, so let's see if I can prove him wrong. I represent Kenjo Outdoor LLC relating to EDB 21-7 and EDB 21-6. I've presented to you all. We presented drawings. My client came and testified. I'm joined by Bill Davis, who's the president of Teamsters Local 100. He spoke at the last gathering about how what we're seeking here, which is the purchase of property that's currently owned by Teamsters, will support Teamsters and help them with their building. He testified previously that he might not be able to maintain the property without the sale. I just want to get down to some of the highlights. The sign we propose, we think will support Evendale. We're offering free advertising to Evendale that could be used for events such as the ones you've been describing, as well as emergency instances. We're willing to work with Evendale on a design that is satisfactory and to your liking. We presented some professional designs, but those are just ideas. We're also willing to agree to conditions on maintenance. One of the items that was discussed previously was a bond to ensure that if something happened, that the bond would cover the maintenance of the property. That's something they were comfortable with. And then finally, the contract is to purchase approximately 1 acre from Teamsters. Kenjo just needs a plot for the pole and an easement to access it. Kenjo's willing to give that 1 acre to Evendale to use as they see fit. If your decision tonight is a maybe, if you think, I'd like to hear more information, or I kind of like some things, but maybe I'm unsure, I would request that we continue this as long as necessary so that we can provide that additional information. To the extent that you have any negative or positive comments, we would greatly appreciate them. And then whatever we do here, or whatever approval there could be, we would believe that variance with conditions would be completely appropriate. We would understand variances can have conditions, and your legal counsel, Mrs. Ryan, could help with that. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you.
As you recall, at the public hearing, we only had 4 members here, and so there was some question as to whether everybody was adequately educated. Ms. McDaniel, how do you, did you feel that you knew enough about the project to talk about it tonight?
Yeah, I went back and watched
You watched
the
it
meeting.
on
Yes, yes. So I saw
ICRC.
the same thing, yes.
And Councilman Putoff, you did the same thing.
I
So
did.
they-
After our special meeting, I watched the entire proceeding.
So both of the absent councilmen have seen a full presentation that came before us the last time. So I think we're pretty educated. So is there any discussion, or?
I do have one, because it seemed like, at least my recollection, we were going back and forth on, this is strictly on the appeal, on the denial of their application as originally submitted.
That's correct.
It is not taking into consideration any modification or amendment that they offered subsequently.
That's correct. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So we will bring this back up for a vote next week, or next month. All right? Is there any other business to come before council this evening? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Burke?
Yes.
Mr. Albrecht?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel? Yes. Ms. Smiley Robertson?
Yes.
Putoff?
Yes.
Mr. Sextro?
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.